Okay, second thing, during class, remembering during class, a lecture is never a lecture. It's always a conversation. Even if you're the only one speaking for an hour, it's still a conversation. If we remember that, then we will pull the audience in to our lecture, right? What does this mean? It's always a conversation. When you're having a conversation with someone, what are some important things that you want to do? In fact, probably the most important thing in having a conversation with someone is to make eye contact, right? This signals so many things in human culture. One of the things it signals eye contact is trustworthiness. If you make eye contact with someone, it signals to the person that I can trust them. If you look away constantly, it means they've got something to hide. This is how we interpret it, whether we like it or not. When they give you media training, if you attend a ISKCON communication seminar, right, they'll tell you, when you're speaking to the camera, look into the camera. Don't look away, don't look there, because it signals to the audience that you're looking for an escape route. You're unsure. You're either unsure or you're dishonest. One of the two. And the second, of course, is the worst if you're trying to convey something to a public audience in a media setting. So they say, look at the interviewer, or if there's no interviewer, at the camera. And keep your gaze fixed. Make that eye contact. The same is true in a lecture. It's a conversation, making eye contact. And if you think of it as a conversation, it becomes much less nerve-wracking. Because you realize I'm talking to a group of friends. These are people who, they're here because they want to hear. Why else would they? I mean, no one is being forced to be here, right? So they want to hear. So they're already my friends, right? They want to be here. They're sitting through the talk. Let me just talk to them. And each one of us is great in conversation. We all love to teach in conversation. So it becomes fun for the speaker as well. We make eye contact. We respond to what the audience's situation is like. You look around the audience and 5 people are starting to get drowsy. It's time for some white space, right? Time for a story, time to pause, or if you can't do that, stand up and stretch, right? It's recognizing it's a conversation, and my conversation partner is wandering off. My conversation partner is confused. You can see it in people's eyes. They're going, huh? Right? And you think, nah, I gotta explain this more. I didn't hit the mark here. If you treat it as a conversation, they will respond to you as a conversation partner. And one of the biggest gifts, this is not from the perspective of a speaker, but one of the biggest gifts you can give to a speaker is to be a conversation partner during the lecture, right? To make that eye contact, to give the head nods, to look confused if you are confused, right? To be surprised, to be happy, to laugh along. That all, there's few things that inspire a speaker more than to get that response, which is why Zoom classes with the videos turned off are really so difficult, at least for me. They're very difficult because it's just a one-way thing, you know? You're recording something and it's not, there's none of that return. So it's a conversation. But the most important way we can make it a conversation is to put ourselves into the class. By this I mean, when we come to speak about Krishna, we bring our whole person there. We are present there. And this can mean by telling the audience a little bit about yourself, or including a story about yourself, or sharing your experience in personal terms. I try to listen to a class of Srila Prabhupada regularly, and one of the things you notice is how often he does this, how often he'll make it a conversation with his audience. He'll pull the audience in by putting himself into the class. So last week I was listening to one lecture Prabhupada was giving, and he was talking about how human beings and animals have 4 things in common, right? Eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. And explaining that we're actually no better than animals unless we've got some higher spiritual goal. And making that point by showing how similar we are. And he said, just like you may have some experience of this, that in biology class, to teach us human biology, they cut open a frog, right? Now this is, and by looking at the parts of the frog's body, you can understand the human body. And he's clearly speaking this from something that he knows well, right? He was a pharmacist, and he was a chemist, and he understood this world. And likely, most people in his audience have had some high school biology or college biology, or they've heard about this, right? And right away, he was able to take this theoretical idea that we are similar to animals and make it really real by sharing something from his own experience that connected with the audience's experience, and at the same time introduced some white space into the lecture, introduced a little moment where from that talk, that's the thing I remember the most, is the fact that Prabhupada explained our similarity to animals by using the analogy of cutting up a frog in a biology course. So, making it a conversation, bringing ourselves into the class, not leaving ourselves out. Okay, I'm the teacher, you're the student, and here's the information coming at you. When we create that stance, then the audience feels diminished, right? They feel like they're not part of the experience with you.